welcome back to RATG, Ryan's All Things Geek, right here on 103.7 FM, Brock University Radio. Or you can be listening to us live online at cfbu.ca.
Black magic. You got to know, got to show.
Okay, Ryan Fleming here, RATG Radio. I'm standing here with the Power Ranger, the one and the only Mr. Jason David Frank. Thank you so much for being on the show with us.
Man. Thank you.
How are you liking Hamilton?
Man, as you can see, so much love out here in Canada. I love it. It's a great time. I think coming to shows like this, especially in Canada, there's like so much appreciation everywhere around the world. But definitely, like they haven't never seen me, or they seen me 3 years ago. You know,
right.
It's not a common thing, but it'll start getting more common coming to Canada. So it was a great time, and I had fun.
Now, have you noticed Canada? We're really big on fight sports, combat sports.
Yes.
We're big on UFC. We're big on the pro wrestling. And you yourself, you know, you're a bit of a mixed martial artist yourself.
Yeah.
Is that something that that appeals to you about Canada at all, or?
Yeah, I think it's great, man. Like I love a lot of top fighters. I hear it coming from Canada too, and I think it's great. I love fighting. I have like a total combination fights, amateurs and pros, about 6 amateurs somewhere in there. But like I said, amateurs, and you're probably going to ask a question next about someone. And I would like to answer that.
I was going to save it for later, but let's get it out of the way now. Let's talk about Mr. Phil Brooks, otherwise known as CM Punk.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of us were caught off guard when he announced he wanted to enter the UFC, and even more shocked when Dana White agreed to it.
Yeah.
Now, he said that he needed to find an opponent right away, Dana was saying. Yeah. And you stepped up. Yeah. You were the first one to say, and I know that you're a Muay Thai champion, and you've got MMA experience. When you heard, you know, that they weren't considering you, that had to have been a bit of a blow, especially considering the lack of experience someone like CM himself had.
Yeah, well, I do Muay Thai. I wouldn't say Muay Thai champion just for all the Muay Thai people, but I do Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, martial arts is my whole entire life. This is the first and probably only interview that I'll talk about CM Punk after the fight. I wanted to kind of post my reactions and stuff like that, but after watching the fight, I didn't want to post anything because I don't want to, hurt no one's feelings. But I will say this: UFC is something that all fighters coming up inspire to be. Mm-hmm. You inspire to want to be on UFC. You don't go to UFC with 0, 0, 0 and say I only have 6 months of training and now I have 2 years of training. It's not wrestling. It's a whole different game. Mm-hmm. I told him from day one. We've talked about fighting a long time ago before he got a UFC contract. We had stuff lined up a long time ago, but he just kind of seemed to ignore me a little bit. Now I know why.
Right.
I was told from several people in UFC I had too much experience, and that makes no sense whatsoever.
How could you have too much experience?
For the UFC. Especially, it's like me booking a movie with Al Pacino or Robert De Niro, and then they tell me you have too much experience. It's like, what? Right. It's mind-blowing. So he did what he did. I don't think it would have went no other way, no matter how many more years he has training. Right. I talked to Gall right before the fight.
Mickey showed you some love.
I did. Mickey, I wanted to give you a knockout bonus. We did talk about a financial knockout bonus, but you tapped him. So that doesn't count. But anyway, he did, I don't know. I just think that he wanted, I don't know what he wanted. It would have been way better if he fought me. The fight would have gone down about the same. Right. But ticket sales would have been great. The fandom base, and I don't think people would have looked at him like, well, you're trying to get in UFC. It would have been like, cool, 2 fandom bases battling. The WWE and the Power Ranger fandom base. People wouldn't have looked at it as that's a joke. Right. They would have loved it.
Now, have you ever thought about stepping into his squared circle?
I would love to. And one thing I talked about a long time ago is I give all the wrestlers credit for what they do.
Yes.
I told them the truth, and I will say it again. There's things that they can do that I can't do, but there are things you can't do in my world.
Exactly.
So it's different, and so I wouldn't be so arrogant to walk into a big WWE thing and think I'm going to do it. I would be like, okay, I kind of need some training. I got to figure out how this stuff works. Yeah. I mean, John Morrison's is a friend of mine who I'm working with.
Great guy.
I'm working with on the new project, the top secret Valiant project, but
Which we'll get to.
Which we'll get to. But he does amazing stuff. I see the flips he does. I'm thinking I can't do that.
And he's a parkour guy as well.
Yeah, and you got to have respect for what art is given. Respect for artists, respect for comic book artists. You know, just the respect. And I felt like that was no respect for the UFC fighters. You know, Gregory McConnor talked about him. Nate Diaz talked about him. He was attacked every which way. It was your chance to step up and prove yourself, and you prove to the world what it's about. And it's not about, I give him respect, I give him credit, like I said before. You could do that in the amateur world. You get respect, you get credit like I did. You come up like everyone else comes up. Amateur to pro. You don't step into the highest elite pro thing and be an amateur. That's all.
There's only one LeBron.
Much love, but I still would like to fight you, CM. That's all I'm saying.
MMA?
MMA.
For sure. Nice. Now, just run down a few of your accolades here, just so the folks know how legit Jason David Frank is. 7th degree black belt. Yeah. Karate, Goju-Ryu?
Yeah, a base style is Shotokan.
Oh, wow,
and then
nice.
we mixed it together, all American style, but Japanese base for the 7th degree black belt.
Right.
And then I got Ajarn, which is under the Thailand government, which is huge, which is like a master under the Thailand government, Muay Thai. And
you were 2003 Master of the Year.
Yep, 2003 Master of the Year. It was like a Hall of Fame thing.
2006, you were the Rough Man Grand Champion.
Yeah.
Now, was that like the Tough Man competition?
It was kind of like one of my friends, Jim, put this thing together, and that's what it was called. And I haven't posted that fight. I will, but that went like, I think, 3 rounds, and the guy just called it. That's before we had taps. Wow. Like, you couldn't tap. It was kickboxing, no MMA, so he just kind of like tapped out. But he was tired, and I was tired, but I never show I was tired. But he quit before me, so but it was fun. It was
awesome.
Yeah, it was like a competition.
He can really go. That's all we're saying. And of course, 2006 gold medal in the Master Toddy full contact Muay Thai.
Yeah. It was.
That's impressive.
Yep.
2006. And Master Toddy's, that's it.
I love Master Toddy, man. He's trained out of Vegas. Now he's in Bangkok. I'll be going out there visiting him a little bit. I love Master Toddy. I got my Arjan underneath him. We had a Muay Thai fight 2006. I fought with some really incredible, talented people on that card. And Kevin, and he's a Muay Thai champion. That's why Kevin's the Muay Thai champion. He's awesome at that. So it was fun.
Nice.
So,
and the last accolade we have for you. This is one I want to know about. You have a Guinness World Record.
Yep.
For the most pine boards broken during a free fall?
Yep.
Skydiving?
Skydiving, yeah. There were several different records. There was a record in the beginning, then I did a record, someone else did a record. But yeah, I jumped out of the airplane with boards. I wanted to mix, martial arts and skydiving together because I got about 1,300 skydives, and wanted to mix it together, and broke some boards. And then I got other people motivated to do that as well, so it was fun.
Nice. Did you do the skydive in the movie? Were you actually...
They would not let us because
insurance.
If something happened,
You needed Jackie Chan on your payroll at that point. All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the Power Rangers real quickly. We talked earlier. It was iconic for kids. Like you and I were kind of saying earlier, it was almost a soap opera for the kids of the time because they lived, they died with you guys.
Yeah.
You changed the game for them. You changed the game for the show, and that's nothing against Austin and everybody else from the show at the time. But it was a big change. How was that for you? Because originally you were only supposed to be there for 10 episodes, and were they supposed to kill you off?
Kind of, but it was like a kid's show.
So you can't kill them off.
One of those things. But I think the only reason he says it changed the game is because I think Tommy came in as the bad boy. Tommy had the girlfriend. It was a kid's soap opera. It affected every little kid, every little boy, and every little girl around the world.
And some of us older ones.
Yeah, the first crush, then their first crush on Amy, first crush on me, and kind of grew up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was only supposed to be there for 10 episodes, and here we are. 23 years later, I've done Super Mega Force, I did the Superpower Beatdowns, and 220 something episodes later.
20 years, two motion pictures.
Yeah, that's right.
And it launched your career as well. Like you've done other things outside of this as well.
Yeah.
So now you keep coming back to the Power Rangers. Is that the love you have for it?
I have a bit of a new love for another character that I'm playing, which you guys all knew. that was announced earlier, right?
Yes, yes.
And
Now,
you know the character that was announced.
yeah, you were just announced as Bloodshot.
That's right.
From Valiant Comics.
That's right.
After, Michael Rowe was just announced as Ninja.
Yeah.
And people would know him as Deadshot from the Arrow.
Yeah. Well,
which is great.
It's cool because this is the first time I'm actually doing first time I'm even talking about this. So there's a lot of first things on here.
Exclusives.
First thing about the CM Punk exclusive. First thing about Bloodshot exclusive. It's a great show. We're gonna make the big announcement at New York Comic Con.
Right.
I can tell you this about Bloodshot. Man, I feel like I've read every comic book. I've read every crossover series. I live and breathe Bloodshot. I put on 20 extra pounds when I was filming. I'm a little lighter now, but I went from 190 to 210. I lived and breathed this. So a lot of Valiant comic book guys are like, you need to be, you need to study. I've studied. I know his thought process. I know everything about him. The makeup took about 2.5 hours to get into.
And looked great. Was that an actual photo or was that an artist rendition?
That was a photo by a friend of mine, Justin, who happened to be on set. He came to visit me on set. I brought my friends, and he did all the photos. He's out of Houston. He's a friend of mine. He did all the pictures, and they used every picture for posters and comics. So he's super excited right now.
That's amazing.
And I'm excited because I got a chance to bring him this stuff.
And now this has got to be exciting too, because you've been working, the last 2-3 years with Aaron Schoenke and Aaron and Sean over at Bat in the Sun. And anyone who hasn't seen Superpower Beatdown, go watch some of that. Watch Green Ranger versus Scorpion. Both endings are great, but we like the White Ranger.
No, it was great. Aaron did the White Ranger Beatdown. It was he was a fan of the White Ranger.
Right.
And so that's why he did the White Ranger. I'm like, we need to do the Green Ranger. And then we did the Green Ranger, but Aaron and Sean are very incredible and talented, and that's who's involved in the Valiant project.
Right.
And you can't go wrong with those guys, man. He's such a talented kid. He needs to direct Power Ranger movies, man. That's how. He's a fan, and he understands the fandom base.
And he understands action.
Yes.
And like you said, the fandom is huge, especially with Superpower Beatdown, because they do. Unlike the movies nowadays, and I don't know about you, but this is what we do, is kind of critique these movies, and they all kind of just try to appease to everybody instead of to the actual fans of the source material. Where Aaron and Sean are completely different. They go right to the source material.
And I'll tell you what, I give props to Alvin, who's the stunt guy. Those stunt people are so important for the show that you can make anyone look good.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? The stunt guys are amazing. So when I fight and I train and I act, I do it all. And they love working with me, and I love working with them because the timing is we could do one take, pop, 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 boom, boom, and be done. It's hard to find actors that are karate people that also do stunts. And me and Johnny Bosch, we do them all. That's why we're going to do our own film. It's going to be
Is that John Morrison?
Working with John Morrison, but Johnny Bosch, the Black Ranger too.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, nice.
And John Morrison does all his stuff. Not too sure about his karate.
Right.
I really haven't talked to him in depth about that.
Yeah.
But Johnny Bosch does karate. We do acting. We do stunts. And I just called him. I was like, man, we need to get our movie. You know what I mean? Because it's so hard to get actors to do stunts as well.
Right.
Everyone did a good job. I mean, Michael did a great job. Michael hasn't really, from Deadshot, who played Deadshot, he hasn't really done a lot of stunts. So we did some really cool stuff.
Now they did announce it also. So they did announce it's going to be a digital series. They didn't announce where. That's going to be October 8th at New York Comic Con, where they announced that. But they did say that there's also working on a 5-picture deal with Valiant, and Bloodshot was mentioned. I don't know how much you can talk about that. If not, that's...
Well, the movie things are certainly, I'm sure, confidential, but it was announced that they're doing a 5-picture deal. I'm very excited about Valiant. A lot of people don't know Valiant. If you don't, you got to see the comic books and read about it, because they got awesome stuff. All I know is my job right now is to brand Bloodshot. Me as Bloodshot, I'm the first Bloodshot.
Oh, yeah.
And I want people to be like, oh, JDF was the first Bloodshot.
You're the Hugh Jackman of Bloodshot. That's it.
I gotta do.
That's
it.
I gotta do. Now, and Bloodshot is such a crazy character. He's the psycho assassin. I liken him to Wolverine meets Punisher. Now, when you're getting into something like this, you're very faith-based. Now, does your faith ever come into does it ever come into question with doing some of the more violent shows? Because Bat in the Sun gets to be pretty violent at times. And especially you look back at Power Rangers, and I did read your your comments about the fan-made Power Rangers one with James Vanderbeek, which was excellent, but it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't the Power Rangers.
I did read today a few questions about, well, JDF said he didn't like the violence, and he said but what JDF said, is that Power Rangers fan-based movie shouldn't have the blood, sex, and the drugs in it.
Right.
Bloodshot from Valiant, I'm an actor. I portray that character known since 1992. And, you know, as far as the faith, I love God, I love everything like that. Bloodshot's just mentally, you know, confused with different memories planted from this and that. Much like my life, I get confused, you get confused. That's what I love about Bloodshot, is like, you know, there's so much going on. There's so much going on in my mind, your mind, everyone's minds. I've really read, and I took to that character, and I really, like, understood. I understood him. You know what I mean? And that's kind of what Bloodshot is. Like, he don't know who he is. He's got different memories implanted. Like, he doesn't know if it's real or fake. And you know, sometimes, hey, you know, I'm an actor, so I don't know what's real and fake sometimes either. You know?
Especially dealing with Hollywood hanger-ons, as they say.
So it was just the character. That's what it called for. So it had nothing to do with the crossover of Tommy. Also, I feel better because I was in paint. I was in character. I wasn't really looking like me. It wasn't like, okay, I decide that Jason David Frank's going to star in this movie, and I'm going to start killing a bunch of people out of costume. I'm in costume. You know what I mean? Bloodshot can be a villain or a hero depending on the missions that he does.
Now, did that help you get into the character more once you got into the paint? Was it like a Jared Leto thing with the Joker they were talking about?
People were just like looking at me like, dang, he looks scary. And I was. It was one of those things where it was like, you know, it's time to fight. It's time to mess it up. It's time to be, you know, and when you watch certain things, you don't know what in the comic books, you don't know if Bloodshot is assassinating or, you know, people that have done really bad things.
Right, because he doesn't know. At first, he doesn't know.
He doesn't know. And so, like, you know, as it goes into it, you know, these people that could be beaten up or whatever could be very bad people. You know what I mean? So it's just one of those things. And, you know, so it's a lot of fun for me. It's actually, I can't wait for New York Comic Con. I'm going to be there signing free autographs on Friday from 12 to 1. And then all day Saturday, I dedicated my all day Saturday I do free stuff.
Yeah,
I don't even do appearance stuff, but I'm saying in general, when I do these shows, I don't take appearance fees, so I can kind of feel like to do what I want.
Right.
There's a lot of people.
That's excellent.
There's a lot of people that can't afford coming to Comic Con, going from one end to the other end. So I understand that. So I'm always hooking people up free. It's just what it is, man.
You're such a great guy.
Thank you.
Last thing, we'll get this out of the way. We talked a little bit about your faith. You found God shortly after your brother Eric had passed away. A really tough time for you. What was it exactly that helped you find God? Was it people? Was it just something inside you that
you know what it was? It was a constant reminders of anywhere I went to be like, hey man, God bless, hey, you need God. And I was like, man, if someone says that one more time, like, and then I started understanding, like, well, maybe I do, you know, like maybe it's one of those things where I need to talk to someone anyway and build a relationship, because I talk to people anyway. And you know, it's one of those things where I believed and I feel blessed. And I don't. Most actors count the money. I count the blessings, because I feel better when someone leaves. Like this little kid waiting way over there. I just gave him some stickers. Like, and when I'm away, little kid, the mom's like so excited. Like that made me feel good. You know, or like someone that's you know, in a wheelchair that maybe can't walk, and I give them inspirational stuff, and then I see them literally 2 years later walking, saying, hey man, like it pushed me through it. I get so many awesome stories that I just can't even tell you how great that feeds the fire.
Is that part of the reason why you've been doing the online training and stuff too? Because I've seen you doing the online dojos.
The online training. I used to train, I went to trainmejdf.com, and during the online training, I used to train one kid, and he loved it, and he ended up taking his life. And his mom said that was the only thing he looked forward to, was my Skype at the time training. And I wish I would have known. He ran to the garage early. He used to wait for me, but I didn't think he really enjoyed it. Didn't show a lot of emotions. And when I heard that, I was like, man, I'd like to open something to give people inspiration, to inspire, and not just punch, kick, and block. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
And that's why the trainmejdf.com is worldwide. It's hard with my schedule to continue it, but I want to, just because that's kind of what I did it for. You know? That's
amazing. And I gotta say, you are an inspiration to everyone. And thanks so much for coming on the show. Awesome time. Ryan Fleming with Jason David Frank, the Power Ranger. Bloodshot, get to know it, be ready for it. October 8th, New York Comic Con, big announcement coming. Thanks again.
Thank you, buddy.
Black magic. You got to know, got to show. It's time to roll. So just tell me what you